you guys, I am super excited you guys are here. If you're coming on in here, I'm excited. This is my very first webinar over the topic that I believe can fundamentally transform your life if you let it, if you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to show up consistently for yourself. The strategies that I give you today are going to be super transformative to your life. But the first thing I want to know, hey, shoot down in the comment section where you're from, where you're at. Let me know you're listening on in here from. I'm super excited you guys are here. Today is going to be a powerful session that, like I was talking about earlier, that can truly transform your life. And when you get this, but most importantly, when you start to apply this to your life in every area, I believe everything starts to change. And I really believe that, and not only really believe, but I know that when you truly build from a strong foundation, you start to have more confidence. When you start to build from a strong foundation, you start to have more power, but most importantly, you start to have more purpose in your life naturally. So I'm super excited. So shoot down in that comment section. Let me know where you're from, where you're at, where you're listening in from. Hey, and if you're like, man, this would be a great thing for my friend to hear, share this with them. Push this, share this out. Help me share this message out with people, realizing that, hey, love is really that missing link that can change everything in your life. But when we realize that true self-love starts with us, that love starts with the way we start taking care of ourselves, we start to change. So I'm excited you guys are here. We're really not just going to be talking about that surface level love, that, you know, that one that you see in the books or on TV. We're really talking about the love that demands courage, right? The love that demands intention, the love that's about you. I think many times, I know for myself, you know, and we're just going to start peeling the layers off of that armor. And I'm not coming from you from a place of somebody who hasn't gone through these challenges. I'm coming to you as somebody going through the work with you. I'm coming to you as somebody who had to learn a lot of these things the hard way. And I hope for you not to have to go through that, but to most importantly, leave here with some key strategies that you can implement now that have not only transform my life, but I know they'll do for you. So like I said, come down in here, shoot down where you're coming in here from that in the comment section. Share this out with somebody that you know could benefit from this message. Because we're going to be breaking down some key pillars that have maybe held you back when it comes to having that higher sense of self-love for ourselves. I know there's a lot of roadblocks for me that I didn't think I was worthy. But I want this to be your reminder that not only does self-love start with you, but that it's going to take some mindset shifts to really eliminate some of those things that we've wired ourselves to believe about ourselves, or maybe wired ourselves to believe that we're worth, or maybe wired ourselves to settle. And that's what I really want to unpack for you today. Some key strategies, some key mindset shifts. But hey, without further I gotta give you an introduction. Hey, my name is Sam. You might be wondering, who is this guy and what is he offering? My name is Sam. I'm actually a fitness and health and wellness professional. I'm a certified transformational coach and a co-creator of the Self-Love Strong 8 Dimensions of Wellness, a program that really, like we said, finding love in every dimension of your life. I think many times when we hear love, we just think about relationships. When we think love, we think about, you know, the bubble baths, the spa days. We think of love as being something that's optional. But today, I want to talk about love being intentional. And the promise that I have for you today here, friends, is that we're going to be really focusing on those 3 hidden blocks in your life that have really been holding you back from having that higher sense of self-love. And I know, you know, we're going to talk about those, that, you know, we're really breaking on down here today. The blocks, those 3 blocks that have been holding you back from having a higher sense of self-love. That really shocked me. I didn't realize that this was really the barrier that I had to break through in many ways. So I'm excited to share this with you. We're going to be having the mindset shifts that can really change everything. I believe that, you know, when we work on the mind, the body follows. And maybe you found yourself, when it comes to love, when it comes to challenges, you're reacting instead of responding. And that's what we're really going to focus on here. We're going to give you some key mindset shifts that can truly transform your life that you can implement today. But most important, I'm excited about this because we have some simple, practical strategies that are going to transform your life. Practical strategies that you're gonna leave here with this session with some confidence, with some clarity, but most importantly with some strength. Some strength in knowing that not only do you deserve more, but you can be more. So if you're excited for this, shoot down that comment section. Let me know maybe some struggles that you have had so far when it comes to self-love. Maybe some questions, and I hope you feel open enough to share some of those questions. Shoot them down in the comment section. If you're like, Sam, I have so many questions, please feel free to DM me or reach out. But make sure you're sharing this out with somebody, because I believe that the level of love that we love ourselves with is the level of love we're able to give. And I don't know if you have seen some of the challenges that are going around in this world, and it really comes down to a love issue, right? If you were truly loving yourself, would you give people more patience? If you were truly loving yourself, would you give people more grace? If you truly loved yourself, how would you treat others? See, I believe love is the foundation in every area of our life. I want you to hear that again. And I really want that to sink in for you, that the way we treat ourselves is the way we fundamentally treat others. Isn't that powerful? That the way you treat yourself is the way you will fundamentally treat others. But most importantly, is what you'll is what you will be able to accept from others. So maybe you find yourself looking for a higher sense of love, but you haven't truly given yourself that love. So when that love that you've been seeking comes to you, it looks dangerous. It's something out of your wheelhouse because you're not even willing to give it to yourself. So you're not even ready to receive it from others. So I'm excited for us to dive on in today. And so let me get this screen set up. Hey, this is my first webinar, and I'm super excited because, hey, you guys are doing something new with me. So I'm excited to share it with you. So, okay, friends, we're going to get into our first little slide. Like I said, we're talking about here today. We're talking about breaking the three blocks to self-love, and how to move from that self-abandonment abandonment to that spiritual alignment. My goal here is to remove the armor that keeps us stuck. I want you to hear that today. Think about the armor that keeps you stuck. Maybe the armor. What have you? I want you to shoot down in that comment section. What are some of the armors that you have found in your life? Is it fear? Have you clothed yourself with fear and never thought you were worthy of more? Have you clothed yourself with doubt, never asking for more, or have you just settled? And I got to be honest, all of us have been in that spot in each and every area of our lives. You're going to see a lot of these roadblocks we have all had in every area of our life. There is nobody that has not run into these blocks. But the best thing about it is that we're going to leave here with some key strategies, not only to break those blocks, but we're going to have some key mindset shifts along the way. Who's ready to get started today? Anybody, shoot down in the comment section. Ready? We are ready here. So, hey, share this comment out. Share this out with some people that you know could benefit from this. But shoot down in the comment section. What are some barriers that you already can identify in your life when it comes to self-love? Is it trust? Does anybody struggle with trust? Has anybody struggled with worthiness? Or maybe just simply fear? Well, that's what we're really looking at, some of these roadblocks today. I'm excited to dive on in with you guys. So we're going to get to our first little rendition here. We're talking about self-love. And I really want you to hear this today. Self-love is stewardship, not just a feeling. And I feel like when we hear self-love, we get to see it on TV as this, you get the flowers, or I had butterflies in my stomach, or, hearts, we have this image of that love is a feeling. But I wanted you to really hear that self-love is stewardship. And I want to talk about today, maybe you find yourself, I love this, this visualization of this vase, because that's what self-abandonment looks like. It's like a vase with cracks and it's leaking. When you are abandoning yourself, you're operating from depletion. You're giving until you're empty. and you have nowhere to give. But I want you to see that when we give from stewardship, we give love. When we operate out of the overload, we're serving from a place of fullness. And that's what I want you to start to understand today is that love isn't about abandoning ourselves. It's about stewarding, shipping what we have, the energy we give, and that we can truly give from the overflow. How many of us can identify we're giving from abandonment? I know it's easy as parents, as maybe bosses. You're pouring till you can't pour anymore. But I want you to start looking at it. How can I pour from the overflow? And I see, like he says, the problem isn't lack of love. It's the presence of blocks. We are not here to fix a broken person, but to remove the armor that prevents connection. I want you to hear that today. That armor that we place up today prevents us from truly connecting not only to ourselves, but to everyone else around us. And I want you to look at this. Where in my life have I been abandoning myself? Where in my life have I been pouring out of depletion? Because, like when I talked about, there's 8 areas that we kind of pour from. Maybe you're like, when it comes to stewardship, when it comes to my faith, I'm pouring from the overflow. I'm reading the messages, I'm sharing it with people, but when it comes to my friendships, I'm abandoning myself. I'm saying yes when I really meant no. And I'm not really pouring from the overflow. So I really want you to really to reflect and write this down for yourself. This could be a moment of clarity for you right here that will change your life. And so start to identify some of those places you're pouring from abandonment or pouring from depletion. Or am I pouring from the overflow? Because that's a choice. And the thing I want you to see on both things here is that this is a choice that you get to make each and every day. This is the power that you have each and every day. Am I going to pour from the overflow or am I pouring from depletion? And I think it'll help you shift your choices and make those decisions a lot easier along the way. And I want to talk about, this is the 3 barriers between your alignment. The block number 1 is the peacekeeper, the people-pleasing pattern, and where we sacrifice truth for approval. And then we're going to talk about the block 2, the settler, the familiarity trap, choosing the known pain over unknown growth. And then we're going to focus on block 3, the procrastinator, the I'll do it later myth, waiting for time instead of making decisions. And I really want you to hear this today, that there's not one person in this world or in this meeting that this isn't you in any area of your life. See, we've all been the peacekeeper. We've all been that person in that people-pleasing pattern, right? Sacrificing our truth for approval. How many have done that in their jobs, in their relationships to keep the peace, in their community, saying yes when your heart says no, doing things that weren't in alignment with your goals or maybe even your faith? And I want you to realize that these are the barriers between your alignment. See, there's nobody that hasn't. This is you. This is all of us have deal with these challenges on a daily decisions. We make these every day. And then we have the settler, right? The familiarity trap, choosing the known path over that unknown growth. How many of us find ourselves there? It's easy to find yourself there. It's that comfort zone. It's that job that doesn't respect you, but you've been there for so long you can't see yourself anywhere else. It's that relationship that no longer is fulfilling to you. It is, but we've been together so long, so we might just stay. It's that I've been going to the same restaurant 10 years and I'll never try anything else because I don't want to make, it's just, we get stuck in these patterns. And and I feel like I know for myself, when I found myself in the settler pace, I think the settler, we give it a lot of titles. We say it's a safe place. We give it the title of the best, but it's just so familiar. We haven't given ourselves an opportunity to even check out the rest. And then we're going to go into our block three, which is the procrastinator who have found themselves in that deal. This is that I'll do it later. I'll do it next week. It's always pushing back what is going to push you forward. The I'll do it later myth. Waiting for the right time instead of making the decision. See, I want you to realize today that when it comes to changing your life, it all starts with making the choice. Hoping, wishing, dreaming won't get you closer, but doing it will. Not doing it later, not doing it next week, but doing it now. And one of my favorite quotes from Eckhart Tolle, he says, life is just a series of nows. Isn't that powerful? That life truly is just a series of nows. And am I going to step into my destiny now? Or am I going to just hope that it happens later? Because that's the choice we get to make today. So let's dive on in, friends. I'm excited you guys are here. So shoot down in the comment section. Where do you, and this is another place of clarity. See, as we get more clarity, we gain more confidence. We get more confidence. This is where things can start to change for ourselves. So I want you to identify as we go through these blocks today, where you have these blocks in your area, and we can get these needles moving towards the right direction. So we're going to focus on block number one, and we're talking about the cost of armor, right? People pleasing is fear dressed up as being nice. I want you to hear that today. People pleasing is fear dressed up as being nice. Maybe you found yourself in that situation saying, hey, Sam, I'm a people pleaser and I do it because I'm a customer service person. Or, I'm a people pleaser because I don't really want to hurt their feelings. I'm a people pleaser because, it's what I've been shown and taught to do. Sacrifice myself for others. That's a good thing. But I really love this. According to Marianne Williamson and Brene Brown, people pleasing is armor against rejection. It is a performative, not loving. And that truly changed my life when I heard that. That people pleasing is an armor. I want you to hear that today. And it's not loving. That really shocked me when I heard that. Now, I was thinking I was pleasing them so they could be happy. I was pleasing them to bring them more joy, make them more comfortable. But I realized that as we people please, the more we are untrue to ourselves, not only is it not loving, but we're not giving ourselves an opportunity to connect. And as Jay said, he notes, keeping the peace often comes at the expense of honesty and understanding. Isn't that a powerful quote? That keeping the peace often comes with the expense of honesty and understanding. And maybe you found yourself that way, looking for more understanding, looking for more connection, but we're not being honest with them. So we can't really when we're not honest with ourselves, we can't be honest with others. I want you to hear this today. This is a resentment test, and I love this. This is a moment of clarity. If maybe you're wondering, am I truly people-pleasing in this relationship or in this situation? It says, do you say yes immediately and feel resentment? That is generously, or is it self-betrayal? I love that. How many times have you said yes immediately and been like, oh man, your friend asked you to move, and you're like, yeah, sure, I got a truck. Oh, you're just like, really? I know I've said yes many times to that. And I want you to think about some of those areas in your life that you do daily. How many times have you said yes and initially resented it? Like, hey, can you give me a ride? Even though I know you've been working, you're exhausted. You're like, yeah, man, I want you to start thinking about that. Because I love how it says, that isn't generosity, it's self-betrayal. And I want you to start thinking about that. That every time I say yes when my heart says no, I'm betraying myself. That's self-betrayal. That's not loving. And the thing is it's not loving to you or to them. because you're not being true to them. You're continuing this lie of expectation that you're trying to live up to, so you never truly give them an opportunity to connect with you, or you to truly connect with them. So not only are you're people pleasing to build a relationship, but you're really pushing away because you're just building a resentment because you're not being true to yourself or to them. And this is the shift. The shift is boundaries and clarity are not punishment. I want you to really let this hit loud and clear. Boundaries and clarity, not punishment. Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. I love that quote by Brene Brown because it's so true. Daring to set boundaries is about having the courage to love ourselves, even when we risk disappointing others. And I know that's something that I struggle with. I had always struggled with thinking that if I was to say no, I wouldn't be accepted. But I was always seeking approval. But I want you to start thinking about courage. The courage to love yourself. See, it takes courage to love yourself. And we really got to start looking and stop seeking that external approval, the outer audience, as they call it, versus the inner scorecard. And I really love this, that inner scorecard. See, many of us are trying to fill this external approval. We're always looking for everybody's opinion outside of ourselves, but it's time to start really looking at that inner scorecard. And I love how C.S. Lewis says here, he says, distinguishing goodness from niceness, growth in character often requires choosing the right thing over the easy thing. How many of us have thought, like, if I just said this, I'm good. They're good. But I love how it says this, growth in character often requires choosing the right thing over the easy thing. I think it's a powerful shift right there because it's tough. But like Brene Brown said, it takes courage, even when we risk disappointing others. But when we start looking at that inner scorecard, that's when we start to get that shift and that power pushing us right in that next direction. So I want to give you a key. It's our simple practice here about when it really comes to setting those boundaries and building that inner scorecard. This practice is one of my favorites called the pause, name, and choose. So step one, when somebody asks you a question like, say, hey, Susie, will you help me move today? And I think the most thing is that, usually when we aren't clear, we aren't confident, when we don't value ourselves, we give the quick answer. But I want you to think about just that second, that pause. Like somebody asks you a question, I like to say, give me a breath. Just breathe. Take one breath before answering or interrupting that. And just usually when you ask a question, we think we need to give the quick answer. I want you to think about when somebody asks you that question for clarity, the first thing you think of is I take that breath. And two, I name. Acknowledge the internal feeling, that pressure, or I feel guilty. Like take that breath. When they ask you that question, I want to name that. Susie just asked me, can I help her move? I know I have big plans this weekend and I feel guilt. I feel guilt because I'm not going to be able to help her, but I feel pressure because she's my friend. So we give it a name. So after I've taken that pause, I named the feeling that I feel. And I want you to understand it's so powerful when we have clarity in our emotions. But many times we're so used to responding, we're so used to reacting instead of responding. See, when we take that breath, that pause, it allows us to respond instead of react. So now that I've paused, I've named the emotion. I'm like, Susie, I really want to help you move, but I feel guilty because I can't help you move, but I feel pressure because you're my friend. And then three, now that I've paused, I've named the emotion that I feel, I have to choose. Respond with a clean and honest answer. I can say, Susie, I can't. I'm busy this weekend and I'm not going to be unavailable today, but maybe I can help you tomorrow. But tomorrow I already have plans. And I think it's when we slow down and we're able to name those emotions, it gives us the confidence to choose, right? Because many times, like if somebody was to say, "Hey, Sue, what do you have going on that you can't help me?" You've already named the emotion. I feel guilty right now, but I have to choose this for me. And I love how it says this, I'm not available. And these are some quick things that you can say that I think are just easy, nice one line things that if you get stuck in any situation where you're stuck, you say, I'm not available for that, but I hope it goes well. Or simply, that doesn't work for me. Or let me check and get back to you. Realizing that you don't need to have the answer right now, that you have every right to slow down, name the emotion you feel, and then choose accordingly with a clear, honest answer. And I think when you are to be more honest with the people that you love and the people that you care about, it allows you to be more honest with yourself. Because I really love this practice because you can do it now. I'm like, hey, Jacob, like, Jacob, do you want to go out to eat? Jacob pauses. He says, you know what? I do have a date with my wife. It would be nice to go out with you, but I feel pressured because you're my boss. So he named it, I feel pressured. But now he chooses. Jacob, he responds with honesty. He says, hey, I have a date with my wife. And so that doesn't work for me, actually. I have a date with my wife. Or let me check and get back to you. Or, I'm not available for that, but I hope you have fun. Simple, clear answers that when you start to be more clear with the people, they don't really have to respond to the question. Because when you're true to yourself, it allows them to be truthful to you. I want you to think about the clearer I am with myself is the clearer not only will I be with others, is that the clearer others will be with you. So now we're going to go into our second block here, friend. Comfort versus calling. And I love this because, it's so crazy. The ego clings to the known, even if it's painful. Isn't that hard? How you've seen those situations where you're like, how does that person keep running into those horrible relationships, maybe running into the same pole every time, or you run into the same challenge at your job? And, it's crazy when I realize the ego clings to the known, even if it's painful. That if, you're wondering, how can somebody keep doing the same thing over and over? Albert Einstein, his definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And that's how our ego is. Our ego clings to familiarity. So even if it's painful, it's toxic that people say, or it's not fruitful, we'll stick to it because it's just, we're known, we're comfort there. And that's why I say it's so important to know what situations you're placing yourself in, because when you get comfortable in a hard place, it's sometimes easier to get stuck. But I literally love how Eckhart Tolle teaches that the ego prefers the painful identity. It's known over a free identity. It doesn't. This is the wrong road trap, described in C.S. Lewis. If you are on the wrong road, walking further isn't progress, it's distance. I think that's so powerful because many of us, we equal moving forward as progress. But I like to say is, how long would you be willing to move forward in the wrong direction and expect to get to where you want to be? It's like having the map, never opening it and hoping you're going to get there. And I really love that quote. If you're on the wrong road, walking further isn't progress. It's just distance. And many of us have found ourselves in the life of distance, calling it comfort, calling it purpose, hoping you'll get there. But I really love something I heard here recently. It's called the course correct. Even though if you have to turn around, if you can course correct, you can get back on the right road. And I think it really comes to your love and your calling. It's really time to start asking yourself that question. Am I moving towards my goal, or is this decision pulling me away? Am I truly moving towards where I'm looking to get towards? Because I really love that. wrong road. That's awesome, man. I really love this right here. It says, yeah, I'm gonna repeat that again. If you're on the wrong road, walking further isn't progress, it's just distance. So it's time to really start looking, am I moving in the right direction? Or am I just sitting in my comfort zone and calling it purpose? And this is the shift, the wisdom of the about turn. And I really love this quote by Deepak Chopra. It says, in the process of letting go, you will find yourself. I need you to hear that today. In the process of letting go, you will find yourself. I think many of us are on this road holding on, not only for fear, holding on, the ego saying, I know I'm going in the right direction. But I want you to understand that sometimes it's about that about turn. It's looking at it and saying, letting go and finding yourself again. But and I love this quote, it says, if you're on the wrong road, progress means doing an about turn. Like we talked about earlier, how long, sometimes moving forward isn't the right direction. Sometimes we're like, man, forward momentum is we're moving in the right direction with this forward momentum. I'm just keep moving forward. But how long would you expect to be moving forward in the wrong direction and expect to get to your destination? I want you to hear that today. How long would you expect to be moving forward in the wrong direction and expect to get to your destination? And I really love how it says that, it's time to do that about turn. That it's not about failure. It's about turning and course correcting. It's about moving towards the right direction. And I love how it says this, turning back is not failure. It's a course correction. I want you to hear that mindset shift. Because many of us, maybe you find yourself, I can't turn back now. I've been on this road for years, Sam. I've been going on this road. But I love how this says, it's time to course correct. The new self cannot be built on old safety rules. Stop calling it starting over and start calling it course correction. I need you to hear that today. I think that's so powerful that it's not starting over. You're not failing. You're just going on the right direction. You're just course correcting. I think that's a powerful mindset shift that has really changed my life because I always look at stopping or looking back as failure or starting over. But when you realize it's just an opportunity to course correct, doesn't that just sound better? Like, you know what? Hey, that direction wasn't leading me towards my goals. That relationship wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. That job wasn't moving the needle towards the destiny that I had for my life. So I had to take a course correct. I'm not starting over. I'm just moving in the right direction. And here's a simple practice when it comes to the familiar versus the fulfilling audit. It's time to really write that list down. And what feels familiar but drains me? It's about having clarity. I think these are three great questions that really start to, like we were talking about some of those things in your life. Is it familiar, fulfilling, audit? Is this really fulfilling my life? Or is it just because I'm holding on to it because I've been doing it for so long? And like number one, what feels familiar but drains me? That's a great question. I want you to write these questions down. What feels familiar but drains me? Is it that watching your friend's pet maybe and you're drains me, but it's not fulfilling? What are those things that are draining you? What are you saying yes to that's really stealing your energy? You're not having joy along the process. And what is the cost? Is what you're doing that's draining you? What is it costing you? Is it costing you energy? Is it costing you peace? Or is it costing you confidence? What is the cost of you continuing to stay in the familiar zone and allow it to drain you? But most importantly, I want you to think about step 3 is the most powerful thing we can do here. Is what is one brave action I can take in the next 24 hours? I think many times we find ourselves in these pitfalls and we stop at step 1. We've identified what drains us, but we never really looked for clarity in what it's really costing us. See, we know it's been draining us for a long time, but we haven't really had clarity on what it's really costing us. It's been costing us our energy. It's been costing us our peace. It's been costing us our confidence. But when we decide to take this power right here, that one brave action, I want to challenge you today to this. On that goal that you've identified that has been draining you, what Brave action can you take in the next 24 hours? And I want to talk about a rule, the drain versus nourish rule. If a situation consistently drains you and never nourishes you, it's not stable. It's leaking. And is it leaking? It is not stable. It is leaking. I want you to hear that today. The drain versus nourish rule. If it sustains consistently drain, if the situation consistently drains you and never nourishes you, it's not stable. It's leaking. Remember the parable of the farmer and the uncertain often carried gifts. Yes, yes. So there's an awesome story that Jay Shetty tells. He talks about a farmer, and so what happens is his horse. He has a horse. He's a farmer, and he is sitting in a stable. He has a beautiful farm, and his neighbors. He's a public figure in the neighbors. Well, ends up his horse runs away. His horse runs away, and his neighbors come up to him and say, "Man, bad luck. Your horse ran away." And he said, "Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" A few months later, his horse comes back, but his horse comes back with other horses. So now he has a stable full of horses, and they're like, "Man, good luck. Wow, look at that. What are the odds that your horse came back?" And he's like, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Well, ends up 2 weeks later, his son's riding a horse, falls off the horse, breaks his leg. And his neighbor comes over, "Man, what's that? You got your horses back and your son breaks his leg. Bad luck, right?" And then what is the rancher says? "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Next week, the army comes through recruiting all the young men in the area. So they grab all the young boys in the area and they pass up on his son because his son has a broken leg. And they're like, "Wow, crazy luck. Good thing, bad thing, who knows?" And I want you to think about that. Many times if we aren't clear and do an audit and are clear on the situations, many times we run into a situation that's challenging or it's great, and we call it, "This is the best thing ever." We're quick to give it a title before we have had clarity. So I want you to start looking at your life in some areas where we're quick to give it a title, but realizing that sometimes in life, things are going to have to play out to see if it's a good thing or a bad thing, right? Because that farmer could have easily been like, "I lost my horses, my farm, I should shut this farm down." But his horses came back with even more. He could have easily looked at, his son falling off that horse's broken leg as bad luck, man. All these horses, now my son breaks his leg, you know. But we don't know how the things are going to end. But all we can do is guide ourselves through clarity through the process. And now we're going to go into our third block. The one we all challenge with, right? The all do it later myth. The crazy busy is a numbing strategy. I want you to hear that today. Crazy busy is a numbing strategy. Brene Brown describes busyness as armor, a shield against feeling, resting, or facing the hard truths. We wait for the time to appear, but time doesn't appear. Decisions create time. I want you to really hear that again. Decisions create time. See, we're taught to wait for the right moment. But like I told you a little earlier, one of my favorite quotes by Eckhart Tolle said, "Life is just a series of nows." But I love how Brene Brown's, disguises. Many of us say ourselves, we're just too busy to focus on this project right now. We don't really see busyness as a blockage to our destiny. We don't see busyness as a shield against feeling or resting or facing that hard truth. We wait for time to appear, but it doesn't appear because decisions create time. Isn't that powerful that your decisions are creating the time? And most importantly, that later is the mind's favorite hiding place. And it's a powerful truth. Decision creates your time. So if you're looking for more time, it's time to start making that decision. Because later is the mind's favorite hiding place. One of my favorite quotes by Eckhart Tolle as well. Later is a mind's favorite hiding place. Because your mind knows that later never comes. And this is a powerful shift. One of my favorite books, The Power Is Now by Eckhart Tolle, because the power is now. Realize deeply that the present moment is all you ever have. I want you to hear that today. Because maybe you have some dreams, some wishes, some hopes. Maybe you're like, "I'm going to treat myself better when? When I have the money, when I have the car, when I have the right relationship. And I love this quote: realize deeply that this present moment is all you'll ever have. This is all you'll ever have. This is the only moment you'll ever have. Self-love is not a destination you reach someday. It's an active choice in the present. I need you to hear that. Self-love is not a destination you reach. It's an active choice. See, and the thing is, it's a choice you got to make each and every day. It's not a choice you make each month, not a choice you make each week. It's a choice you make each day. Because this present moment is all you'll ever have. And I really love Thich Nhat Hanh's teaching. He says, mindfulness isn't another task on your to-do list. It's how you do the task. Washing dishes, waking, breathing. Presence is the practice. Isn't that powerful? Presence is the practice. It's being right here, right now, in this moment. Realizing that the true gift is this moment. You will never get this moment again. And that's why I'm thankful that I get to spend it with you guys. So now we're going to go into a practice that I want you to implement this week. Realizing the gift of this moment. It's called the Non-Negotiable 15. This is a challenge I have for you this week. Giving yourself the 7-day challenge. When I have time with when I decide. I need you to hear this today. This is a powerful shift. Replace when I have time with when I decide. See, I need you to understand your decisions create your actions. So it's time to start deciding what you're going to do with your life. So I want you to choose one practice for 15 minutes daily. It could be a walk outside for movement. It could be a journal lesson. You can write down your emotions, maybe some of the blocks. It could be breath work, prayer, yoga, anything. But what is something I can do consistently for 15 minutes each day, deciding that I'm going to do it? Not if I have time or after this. If I have time, I'll give myself my 15. This is a non-negotiable 15 minutes. And I really want you to hear this. Consistency beats intensity. Small reps repeated daily. Train your inner narrative. Which I like to call train your inner trust. See, how many of us, when we heard 15 minutes, we're thinking about how we're going to get that? And you don't realize how much time you give to everyone else. But you're not willing to give yourself 15 minutes of non-negotiable time, whether it's even just sitting down in a chair and just take a breath. I want you to start doing that. And not when I have time. I love that. Replace not when I have time to it when I decide. And I want you to make that decision each and every day for 7 days this week. 15 minutes. No, it's a non-negotiable 15 minutes. That's our practice, friends. And here's our little, our cheat sheet for alignment. So I want you to look about the blocks that we talked about today. We talked about the people pleaser. What are our blocks? The block is the people pleaser. The shift is boundaries is kindness. Isn't that powerful? That, we talked about it. Boundaries are actually a kind thing. And I really love how Brené Brown talked about, boundaries, of having the courage to set boundaries, even if we might disappoint others. But that's going to take courage. But not courage as in anger or in despite. I have courage in these boundaries because I truly am kind. Not only to them, to yourself, but to everyone else. So we talked about the action we can do. So we do the pause, right? So somebody asks us a question. Billy says, hey, can you pick me up after work? I take that breath. I see what my inner emotion is. I'm like, okay, do I have anything on my schedule? Well, I actually have my favorite show coming on in 30 minutes. I kind of feel guilty because I really want to watch my show, but Billy needs a ride. Now that I've named my emotion, I can choose. Oh, hey, that's not going to work for me right now. And that's okay. And because it's not aligned with what you have in mind. And that's okay. Like we talked about, this doesn't work for me right now. So you can move on. And you can give them that clear, confident answer, but not out of a spite, not out of anger, but you're speaking from clarity because you know how you feel. Last thing you want to do is pick up your friend Billy and you're just angry and you're short and snippy with him because you picked him up because you picked him up out of alignment. And I really love that familiarity trap here, right? That the trap where we're like, hey, I've been doing it for so long, oh, I can't go anywhere else. And instead of looking for the other, looking at change or just making that course correction. Instead of moving forward through the fear and doubt, move forward, realizing that, hey, I can no longer move forward and expect to get to where I want to be if I'm not willing to open up the map and course correct in the right direction. That just because we're making forward momentum doesn't mean we're riding in the right direction. We need to have clarity in the direction of our lives, but most importantly, that it's not failure. It's not starting over. It's just a course correct. And we really talked about the action today is it drain or nourish audit? So I want you to start looking at some of the actions you're doing in that familiarity. Is this thing draining me or nourishing me? And if it's draining you, like we said, if it's always a drain and never nourishes, it's stagnant. It's always going to drain you. So that's when you your decisions can change things. And then we talked about the later myth. This is the most powerful, and this is one I had to struggle with a lot, the later myth. Realize that the power that we have is truly in this moment. That all the power that we have, the shift is that we have it now. And then we're going to have that first little challenge here for this upcoming week is having that non-negotiable 15, right? Giving yourself 15 minutes each day. And not from like, I'll do it when I decide. And having that mindset shift that when I have time I decide, when I decide. I want you to hear that again. It's time for you to start deciding to make yourself first. I mean, not necessarily put yourself first, but most importantly, it's time to decide to start loving yourself again. It's time to start deciding that you're worthy of more. But most importantly, it's time to decide that it's up to you. Because maybe you found yourself in wait, hoping that these things would come to you, realizing that this is an inner decision that you have to make. So I'm going to give you some, like we talked about today. Self-love is a daily choice. Self-love is not a destination. It is a daily practice of alignment. Every moment offers a choice to repeat the familiar or step into the new. I want you to hear that today. Every moment offers a chance to repeat the familiar or step into a new. Every moment offers a choice to repeat the familiar pattern or to step into something new. Deepak Chopra, I love that quote. So I hope you make that choice today. After we've identified some of these blocks, that you decide to step into something new when it comes to your self-love journey. And I want to give you some of the sources, some of my favorite books along the way, the wisdom sources, for further reading. And one of my favorite books, Eckhart Tolle, Power of Now, Brene Brown, The Power of Vulnerability, Wayne Dyer, Your Erroneous Zones, great book. That Not Hint, The Miracle of Mindfulness. Jay Shetty's Think Like a Monk, just got that book recently, great one. Ooh, my favorite book, Marion Williams, Return to Love, gotta get it. C.S. Lewis, The Great Divorce, or, Mary Christiany, or, Sarah Jake Roberts, Women Evolve. These are just some great resources. Take a screenshot of this, write some of these books down. These are great. Like if I have Amazon Audible and I just put all these books on my Audible and I just listen to them all over, really gave me some great tips and mindset shifts along the way. Such a great book. So just take a screenshot of that. So you'll be looking to get some more reading activities as well for you guys. But yeah, you guys. Perfect. Yeah, take that screenshot. There you go. There we go. Take that screenshot. Perfect. Let me make that right there. All right, friends. I am super thankful for you guys for being here. If you're like, Sam, this is a super awesome 3 blocks. I'm going to be showing up every Friday for the next 6 weeks. We're going to be doing this Friday focus on self-love. So make sure you follow me. Make sure you share this with your friends. I hope you had some shifts today. And if you're wondering, Sam, I really want to take myself to that next level. I identified myself in these blocks, and I really did want to get myself to that next level. I actually offer one-on-one coaching. I'll take you right through my self-love strong program. It's going to really focus on the area. We're going to identify those same blocks in every area, though. See, we're going to identify the blocks in every area of your life. We're going to get those shifts. So I have two coaching spots open currently, If you're looking for coaching with me, just shoot down in the comment section, DM me coaching. But you guys, I want you to realize this today. Like we talked about, self-love is a choice that you can make each and every day. I need you to hear that. It's a choice you make each and every day. So why not choose love? Why not choose to be worthy of more? Why not remove the blocks and step into our destiny? But most importantly, I want you to realize that today, that those simple practices can change your life. So, all right, friends, I'm super thankful for you guys. Just a quick reminder, hey, my name is Sam. Make sure you share this out to a friend that needs to hear it. Shoot that in that comment section what time you listen to it if you catch it on the replay. I'm super thankful for you guys. We're going to be meeting here every Friday with a Friday self-love focus. We got those 3 pillars. So I'm super thankful for you guys. Shoot that in the comment section. Tell somebody, shoot that in the comment section. Let me know what you learned, what really resonated with you today. And first off, I'm super thankful for you guys. Shout out to you for showing up. So make that choice. Make that choice for that 15 members. So I want you to put this work into practice. Don't just show up here. Now it's time to do the work. See, we took the notes, we got the clarity. Now it's time to put it into action. So do that practice today, you know? Use the 3 tools, the pause, name, and then choose. Pause, name, choose. Take that breath, slow down, name the emotion you feel, and then choose accordingly. And then we're going to take that drain versus nourish, right? Start to reflect on some of those things in your life. Is it draining me or nourishing me? And if the thing has never nourished you, then it's always going to drain you. And I really want you to think the real thing is identifying the cost. Is it costing me my peace? Is it costing me my joy? Is it costing me my energy? And then that last one, the big myth of it's later. See, the only moment you have is now. And when you realize that, you'll step into each moment with power. But stepping into this power with clarity, with conviction, but most importantly, with strength. So I'm super thankful for you guys. Shout out to you for showing up in this first webinar with me. I'm super thankful for you guys. I hope you got that knowledge. Make sure you reach out to me. I have a free self-love starter kit in my bio. Get it. It's free. It'll go over all 8 areas and give you some clarity in 8 areas and give you a little bit of idea of what my coaching program offers. I'm super thankful for you. And let's make self-love the decision we make each and every day. Take care.